Hey, what is up, mortals? It is WASDemons here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 4 of season 1 of What If Deku Had Daredevil's Powers. Just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, let's begin. The sight of it was overwhelming. Well, not like he could actually see it, but still, this was the forge where unrefined youngsters were tempered and tested to produce heroes. This was UA. Aspiring examinees went through the gates. Midoriya stood just taking it in, the culmination of all he trained for. It was time to deliver. He'd gotten up early, but there was no session with Knuckle Duster. That had ended days ago. His teacher had left chasing a lead he'd gotten on some American businessman, attempting to build an illegal underground network or something, under the pretext of spice trading. Izuku didn't care for the in-depth detail of it all anyways. His vigilante time was over, and he had to put all that away now to become a hero. His mom left early as well for work. Midoriya had done well to keep his secret from her for nearly a year, but his mom noticed something was amiss too. His muscular build was questioned many times, to which Midoriya always replied that he was using his free time to exercise, and he'd been lucky on many occasions to be home before she did. Izuku almost got caught one day when his mom came home early. When he came back, he met her in a mess of a state.
"Where have you been, Izuku? I've searched everywhere. I thought something happened to you,"
his mom said, sobbing hysterically.
"I'm sorry, Mom. I went to take out the trash and got sort of lost. I'll be careful from now on. Don't worry, I'm fine,"
Midoriya assured her. When Izuku thought back on those many months, he wondered how he was going to break it to her if he did get into UA. She didn't believe him in the first instance when he told her about his powers. He wondered how she would react to everything he'd done for nearly 10 months.
"I'm going to be late!"
A girlish voice squealed, running towards the gate. Her balance sounded off. It was only a matter of time before she tripped, and she did. Uraraka had activated her quirk once she'd lost her balance to keep her afloat. The girl made sure she didn't have a face-to-face conversation with the pavement before her exams, but even before she activated her quirk, a strong arm tugged at her shirt to aid her, almost like this person knew what was going to happen to her. Now her quirk was activated, and she floated off the ground, making it seem like she was luggage he was carrying.
"Thanks, but I got this,"
she thanked the fellow who had assisted her as she got herself back on her feet. Green hair, school uniform, and dark shades. She wondered why he was wearing shades to a practical exam.
"Oh, it's my pleasure,"
Midoriya replied. In the past, Midoriya found it hard to talk to girls, but on losing his sight, and his many encounters with Popstep, he lost that fear along with many other things he feared. He was now like the man without fears. At least, he hoped he was. It would be so shitty if he choked during the exam.
"Thanks again, and good luck on the exams,"
Uraraka said over her shoulder as she ran through the gates.
"Huh? Deku! What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here!"
The shocked look on Kacchan's face said it all. He stared down the green-haired boy in disbelief. Izuku couldn't possibly be attempting the exams after that accident.
"Oh, hey Kacchan. I think I should, considering I got my ticket and all. See? My number's 2234. And, oh, I've been placed in Battle Center B. What center are you in?"
Midoriya replied he understood Bakugo's confusion. He knew Bakugo carried a certain guilt of leading Midoriya to his blindness. What he didn't know is that he actually led him to more. President Mike continued his explanation of the exams, so Bakugo had to pipe it down and pay attention.
"So the goal of the exam is to dispatch..."
President Mike's voice trailed off into a momentary silence. His eyes had spotted Midoriya, even within the dimly lit room. This was the boy on the news during the tragic incident. Aizawa had spoken about him, but Mike was a bit startled.
"Looks like everyone's shocked to see me,"
Izuku mumbled to himself. Once he got back on track, the hero explained the exams, and then they commenced.
"Different robots, various points allocated, stay clear of the Zero Monster."
Midoriya summed it up, talking to himself. He looked around. The examinees were getting into it, using their quirks to take down robots.
"One down the alley, I can hear it. It's walking on threes. Looks like a two-pointer from the fine print paper I felt earlier,"
Izuku thought to himself, referring to the handouts that explained the various robots. He slammed his knuckles together, the brass metals throwing sparks. A gift from his teacher. He practiced with them and somewhat adapted to Knuckle Duster's fighting style, too. It wasn't quite suited for Midoriya since his teacher was built around raw power, but with his speed, he made things work for now, till he learned proper martial arts. He ran towards the alley. Midoriya jumped off the sidewalk and onto the side of a building, running across it. He activated his radar, spotting the robot. Izuku side-flipped off the building, staring down the robot mid-air. The robot took notice of him.
"Target acquired."
the metallic voice of the scorpion robot called. It lashed out the metallic stinger attached to its rear. Izuku turned his body, letting the weapon pass by him. He grabbed the tail, using it as a swing to vault himself to the robot's long head, the beaming crimson eyes of the machine going through millions of algorithms to counter him. He bashed the creature's head metal on metal. His brass knuckles tore chunks into its head with ease, leaving a dent. The robot wasn't down. It tried to take Midoriya out with whatever function it still had left in its half head. The stinger lashed again, aiming to hit Midoriya, who now stood on the robot, using its squared neck as a foothold. Defiantly, the boy waited, even with impending danger abound. Now! He thought to himself. In an instant, he slid off the robot, letting it use the metal stinger to impale itself and crumple into a lifeless hunk of metal. One down. Oh wait. The boy paused. He punched an attachment of one of the now-dead robot's legs, breaking it off. Izuku gripped the sharp shield-like construct and started to swing it hammer-throw style with both hands. He released it, throwing it into open air, out the alley from the direction he took to get here. Just as the projectile left the alley, a one-pointer robot zoomed into view, planning to go down the street. The projectile caught it at the neck, the precise moment it appeared, lopping its head off cleanly. That's 2 down, Midoriya continued. Hey man, that was my catch! No fair! A fellow examiner yelled to him. Izuku could hear more fighting down the road as he ran out of the alley. He listened. If he took the normal route to where all the ruckus was, he'd meet destroyed robots. No, he needed to find routes the robots could be taking to the examinees. He focused hard. Midoriya began to hear the grinding and stabbing of asphalt, various monsters driving down the road. Intercept the packages? Easy, Midoriya chuckled confidently. Now you're talking to yourself, you weirdo? The pissed-off examinee called from behind him. Before we continue with the episode, I'd like to introduce you to Honey. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari. If it's a browser, it is Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out these major sites is click that little orange button and it will scan the entire internet and find discount codes for you. It takes 2 clicks to install Honey. Now, anytime you check out Honey, we'll scan the entire internet and find coupon codes for you. If there's a coupon code, they'll find it, and if there's not a coupon code, you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible, and there literally is not one available on the internet. If you install Honey right now, you can save about $50 to $100 on shopping doing nothing. There's literally no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks, 10 million people use it, 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. From the control room, the heroes were astonished. Yes, there were various examinees that showed pure skill in various aspects. Info gathering, power, speed, and calmness under pressure. But now they were witnessing this weird kid possessing each of those properties in equilibrium. He was locating the robots quickly, almost on instinct, even in dispatching them with speed and power whilst showing no flashy quirk for most of the time. What's more, this was the kid that was involved in a chemical accident during one of All Might's rescue missions.
Such battle composure. It's almost like he's done this before, don't you think, Cementos?
Principal Nezu said.
I'm more concerned with his fashion sense. Who wears dark shades and a green jumpsuit to battle?
Cementos replied.
It's a bit weird, though. From what I gathered, he was visually incapacitated during the accident. If that was the case, he'd be hugely handicapped here. But the way he moves, it's almost like he sees everything, Nezu added thoughtfully.
I believed that to be the case as well,
an evidently worried All Might said. Why Midoriya was suited well for this test? His many outings with Knuckle Duster exposed him to minor crimes like petty theft, to major threats like villains under the influence of Trigger. Through many of such experiences, he learned his strength and weaknesses, honed his abilities, learned how to think under pressure, and ultimately gained field experience. Even though he technically got labeled as a villain while doing all that, Izuku was leagues above every other examinee experience-wise, but there was only so much you could accomplish by training and not actually possessing a quirk.
Alright, show me what you got,
Midoriya said to the one-pointer, hopping on the balls of his feet in a boxer's stance. The one-pointer swiped for his head. Izuku swerved to the left and landed a hook with his left fist into the robot's thorax, leaving circular prints from his knuckle dusters. He swerved back right just as the machine attempted to slam him with a backhand, throwing a straight jab that crumbled its face. Another one-pointer rolled in from behind him, playing to catch him off guard. Fat chance. He sensed everything. Maybe not everything. Midoriya had thought there was still a few meters between him and the other robot, so he took the leisure of playing boxing with this one. He misinterpreted what his sense told him. Now the other bot threw an overhand blow. The boy managed to slip out to the left, letting the blow take out the other robot, but the attack grazed his right forearm with a gash. This wasn't the first time. Momentary lapse of concentration earned him bruises and minor cuts on his face. "Dang it, guess I got a little cocky again," he admitted, applying pressure by covering his bleeding wound with his left arm. The robot wasn't programmed with a timeout function. It rolled quickly towards Izuku. The boy spotted a hunk of metal from a robot he'd previously taken out. He lunged for it and threw it into the robot's path. The metal stuck into its wheel, causing it to sail through the air, crashing to pieces. "That's at least 28 points, the girl he helped earlier said after a loud crashing noise. "That puts me at 45, the boy who asked questions earlier said. Midoriya could hear them from far away. How did they rack up so many points so fast? The only answer was their quirk. He was at probably around 34 in points. He wasn't sure. "Less than 2 minutes remaining!" The voice of President Mike boomed through the center.
"There's no more robots coming down this side. I have to get moving."
Just as he was leaving, examinees came down to the road in hopes of racking up more points. They were met with robot corpses and a fleeing Midoriya. "Did that kid do all this?" they asked amongst themselves.
"I need to get more points, but what do I do? There's little time left. If I try to take on a three-pointer, it'll eat up all my remaining time. Whoa, what's that?"
The ground rumbled, almost throwing Midoriya to the hard road. A huge robot came into view.
"The zero-pointer,"
Midoriya said, staring at the towering monster from afar. "Run!" one kid said as many people ran away from the hulk of a robot. It punched a building, flattening it with ease. The ground around them quaked as white clouds of smoke filled the air, adding to the confusion. The impact of the punch shook him. Midoriya's teeth clattered in his jaw, but he stood his ground.
"If they're running away from it, it means they've abandoned the robots left, as well as points that I can easily pick up."
He planned to run around and take as many points as he could while avoiding the zero-pointer. It would be hard, but he could pull it off. "Less than a minute to go!" President Mike called over the comm.
"There might not be time for this. Maybe I should bail while I have the chance,"
the boy considered.
"Ow!"
a voice amidst the chaos cried. Izuku knew that voice, the girl he helped earlier. The sounds of struggle came from the direction of the robot, accompanied by the chalky noise of debris, which the girl was stuck under. She couldn't use her floating quirk. The huge rock had trapped her leg and she couldn't reach it. The robot noticed the girl, and he reached for her. Izuku was already on it. He peaked his top speed quickly, ignoring the trail of blood left by his arm, as he raced down the road and got beside her.
"Come on!"
He strained, heaving the rock off, but now they were within the robot's grasp. The machine slowly dropped its hand over them to squish them flat. Izuku raised his arms, trying to hold off the robot, or possibly push its palm off, but he couldn't. He was only a quirkless kid who'd been lucky enough to get abilities in a freak accident, but that was it. He lacked the necessary super factor to actually finish the job. It was a hurdle he was never going to get over. Midoriya did manage to stall the robot for a mere 2 seconds before he was sent to his knees, crumbling under the pressure. Then, all of a sudden, everything felt light.
Was this it?
He thought to himself. Did he finally awaken his quirk and become stronger? Then he realized the girl he'd just saved used her quirk on the robot, causing its arm to float.
"Oh,"
he silently said, evidently disappointed.
"Ugh."
Uraraka grunted before upchucking rainbow puke all over Midoriya, much to his displeasure. "Time's up!" President Mike said, signaling the close of the exam, and the horrific zero-pointer shut down instantly.
"Dang, wish I could have snagged a bit more points,"
Midoriya said. The boy was too weak to stand, his arms too heavy to move, fractured from trying to stop the robot. He just knelt beside an unconscious girl covered in puke. An encounter with a recovery girl fixed him up straight. The written exams took place later on. Midoriya was sure he did alright, not that he wanted to, but he kinda cheated. Considering he could hear people mumbling the answers and see the inked paper within his radar, it was hard to write the wrong thing when someone said otherwise. He managed to finish it all and got back home in due time, and so the exams concluded, and Izuku's wait began. For a week he did nothing but exercise. He used it as an avenue to release all his anxiety. One day after dinner, Inko went to take the trash out while Midoriya sat down and listened to the news. Speculations that the foreign tycoon who just recently relocated to the city of Musutafu has decided to start a project that will enable him to work directly with the Hero Association is believed to be true. A man by the name Wilson... Izuku switched off the news. He could hear his mom outside slowly coming back to their apartment. She seemed confused, and her hand shook as she appeared to be holding something. His mom entered the apartment.
"Izuku? What is this?"
she questioned, holding an envelope. It says it's from UA. What's going on? Inko asked, confused. Mom, I think we need to talk, the boy replied with a sigh. So you mean all this time I've been at work, you've been doing dangerous things? This hero stuff was exactly the reason you were in that accident. How could you do this to me, to yourself? Inko sobbed as she asked. He knew he had to lay it out for her, even if it came out harsh. She had to see it how he saw things. Mom, you have to stop treating me like a kid. Yes, I'm blind, but I've told you so many times this disability has granted me with so much more abilities. If I couldn't handle being a hero, I'd be dead by now. But I'm not. I've learned, and now I'm ready to do this. You have to trust me. Midoriya blurted his heart out to his mom, hoping she'd understand. After a long silence, she spoke. No. I'm not fine with this. I can't let you do this, Izuku. You'll get yourself hurt. She shook her head in affirmation of her words. I'm doing this, Mom, whether you like it or not, he replied sternly, stomping up to his room, leaving his mother shocked. She had never known her son to behave like this. Where had his innocence gone? Izuku plopped himself down at his desk, ripping the letter open. A holographic message played. He couldn't see it, the emissions messed with his radar sense, so it was no use trying the same way with television, but he could hear the message. All Might spoke.
It's you, the boy from the accident. I apologize that I haven't been in touch. The hospital refused to disclose contact info even to heroes.
All Might began with an apology. You could sense the sincerity in his tone.
But that aside, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw you on the screen. You were amazing. You took down those robots like a seasoned fighter. It was almost like you had precognition. You were able to garner a total of 32 combat points. Impressive!
Midoriya's heart dropped a bit. He knew how well others had done. He could hear them tallying their points, and 32 might not have been enough to qualify him.
What was even more impressive was your diligence in saving that girl. There was another factor in play during the exams, and that was the rescue points. For putting yourself in harm's way to save a fellow examinee, you have gained 45 rescue points. Congratulations, Izuku Midoriya. Welcome to the hero course.
His eyebrows raised and his eyes widened even though he couldn't see anything. Midoriya couldn't believe it. It was happening. He was finally becoming a hero. Droplets of tears stained his desk as he hurried to wipe them off his face. Yes! He roared, mixed emotions of frustration and joy released in that moment. The sun sent its warm rays that seeped into the Midoriya residence. It was April, time for his high school career to begin. He was dressed in his school uniform, his bag strapped to his back. Izuku swiped his dark shades off the kitchen counter. He walked to the door as his mom was in the kitchen preparing to leave for work. She gave him a solemn gaze as he went. I'm off to school, Mom. He received no response. After a short pause, Midoriya spoke. Look, I know you're against it all. You're scared for me, but I promise you I'm on the right path, Mom. I just need you to see it. I can finally be the hero I always dreamed of. I can't really prove it to you now, but I promise I'll show you one day. That's all I can do for now. Love you, Mom. When all was said and done, Izuku headed out bound for UA. As he walked down the road, an expensive-looking car rolled beside him. Izuku stopped and turned his attention to the car. The tinted black window rolled down, and a foreigner spoke in a language he couldn't understand. I don't understand. He waved his hand in an X to show he didn't understand.
Oh, forgive me. I sometimes forget I'm not in America. I was wondering if you could show me the way to UA High. My useless driver is lost and my contact isn't picking up, the foreign man said in Japanese.
Oh, sure, I'm headed in that direction as well, mister. I could show you the way, Midoriya replied, quite shocked a foreigner could speak Japanese so fluently.
Ah, perfect. Hop in, I'll give you a ride. What's your name, boy? The foreigner asked contentedly.
Thank you, sir. My name's Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya bowed before opening the car's front door and getting in.
That's a nice name. Well, mine's Wilson Fisk. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video. So, goodbye, and have a divine day!